Each time I remain puzzled. Same questions, same problems, different faces, of course. All these questions which are arising at a mental level, family problems, social problems, health-related problems, I think our masters have deliberately dealt with them in a very clear-cut manner. Problem is, most of us do not read. All the new understanding, newer revelations are shared in writings, in talks, writings through books, writing through messages, writing through the articles in patrikas. Millions of people practicing, but we have not reached even few thousand magazine distribution. If you are really interested in knowing more, not just about worldly problems, solving them, but how to even develop higher level of understanding, getting the glimpses of what divinity is all about. All these are very important to understand. Suppose your father says, "My son, don't do this." My grandchildren and my sons, they have taught me big lessons. Even when you tell them don't do it, they deliberately do it. Why? Number one is ego. Even within very early age of 2 and 3, they rebel. Little ones may rebel because their ego is now, identity is now developing. Saying yes means accepting others. Often we take it as if I accept these things, somebody is having authority over me, and so they rebel. Adults also. Some children will say, "Papa, I don't want to do this." They may say very respectfully, "Fine." Another set of children, they will say, "I will never do this." But in back of their mind, they are willing to understand, why did my father say so? And then later on, what was not accepted, they begin to accept. That pause is required to understand why of every request. As abhyasis, when we ask a question to our masters, there are answers which are printed. A lot of us still want to clarify in person. How is it going to be different? Unless and until I meditate over that answer, reflect on it, contemplate over it. But even to understand, to meditate over it, to contemplate over it, you have to have some awareness. You have to know your problem very clearly. Secondly, you must read the books. Only when you don't find the answers, you meditate again and again, contact your preceptors, discuss among the other brothers and sisters. Even when you say, "Oh, my daughter is suffering her husband is beating her every day. I received a long Hindi letter from one sister who is sending me the letter for another sister. Just got it yesterday. And when I saw the picture of our sister Abhyasi, she's so devoted to Sahaj Marg, but her husband has a ritual. Once, twice a week, he beats her up. She's asking me these questions. And many times, at least I get such questions at least once a week. To all these problems of violence, be it violence because of the family members or because of the business partners or be it because of the neighbors, don't bring them to me, please. There is a social order, there is a legal problem solution teams, not with us. You can complain to police. But before you complain to police, you have to have facts, proof. I say that so and so abuses me, will not do. You have to have proof. Do you want to lead a life like that? Or are you afraid that what if this financial help will not be there? What do you really want? You want freedom or you want slavery? If someone, Babuji Maharaj used to say, if someone abuses you, you have to yourself become counter-offensive with a greater force. He was saying also that if somebody, quoting one great saints from the past, he said, if someone hits you, you should offer the another cheek. Babuji says, no, that is foolishness. I must counter it with greater force. Mahabharata is all about that. If one lesson we have to learn from Mahabharata, it is this, that end justifies the means. Life of Kunti also reflects that. But the social structure was such that having a child before marriage, it's a black dot on your life. But if she had accepted it, then Karna would have proudly moved around with Pandavas and there would not have been war. Was it fault of Kunti? No. It was the fault of the society at large who could not, and even today, society cannot accept premarital births. I am not an advocate of all this, because that was a very unique situation. Conception was via mantras. And it's a fact that she could invoke any nature's power and have conception. Willpower of today's is sadly lacking even amongst the best of us. We cannot invoke anything. We cannot invoke even our own hearts, let alone other powers of nature. I would like to share with you my observation. The other day I was asking few Abhyasis a question that have you plucked a mango? Have you plucked an apple? Have you plucked an oranges from a tree or a chiku? Any fruit. Versus when the fruit has all fallen on its own, mango falling on its own, apple, oranges falling on their own, or ready to be plucked. This readiness, if it is there, the fruit will be very tasty, very sweet, But if you pluck it before time, it will be bitter. Many a times we give solicitations, advices. Lalaji would say, stop giving advices. Because the other person is not ready. And when the other person is not ready, not with a ripened heart, they will not be able to accept the answer. It will throw it back, it will react, it will repel. Often, in some centers, they make announcements for donation. Kanha needs donation. And some enthusiastic preceptors would contact other prospective prosperous abhyasis. Oh, sir, our mission needs money. They may have money, but their hearts are not ready. Don't ask. And you don't know whether this person's heart is ready or not, ripened or not. So, never ask. If their conscience is improved, if their conscience is in tune, you will not have to ask anything. It will respond in a natural way. And when things happen naturally, there is joy, there is sweetness in this donation. Otherwise, it will be a bitter offering of your fruit to the masters. How can we offer such bitter fruits at the feet of the Lord and say, this is my offering to you? No. It must come through heart. Often when we give advices, suggestions, even though a person is asking, please give me the advice, what happens there? Our heart begins to analyze whether it is right or wrong. And whatever masters or preceptors have suggested to you, you have already thought through it. So why don't you refer it to your heart? Pray at night to the great master for the solution. And I have also seen in my own life that we don't accept the solution because we don't have the courage to follow the advice. Courage comes with clarity. Clarity comes with understanding. And when the understanding is there, acceptance will be immediate. Without understanding, you will not be able to accept, even if it is spoken by Lord Krishna himself. See the difference between Duryodhana and Arjuna. Difference was only at the level of understanding. If he had understood, in time, the situation would have been different. That was a mega situation, but the nature of that mega situation is similar in our day-to-day life. Nothing is different. Three things: lobe, which we also reflected as praloban. Babuji says it's greed. It's number one thing. Second is ego, ahankar. And greed is a product of obsessive desires, incessant desires. Solution of both these are given in our prayer when we say, "Oh Master." That inner heart must oscillate with the feeling, resonate with the feeling that I am a disciple of the Master. That humility must arise in our hearts, that tenderness must arise, that reverential feeling must arise when we say, "Oh Master." That feeling must overflood our heart. And I tell you, if this feeling is there, you will not be able to finish the rest of the prayer. You will dissolve right then and there. You won't have to say, "Thou art the real goal of human life." So begin with the right step. Create the feeling, reverential, prayerful attitude. When we have this prayerful attitude, there won't be need of offering prayers.